Hello LEGO fans, welcome back to LEGO 48. So here it is, less than a week before BrickFair Chantilly. I've spent most of my time since Brickworld Chicago rebuilding and tweaking my bridge module, which turned out to be more challenging than expected. But I think I have it working well enough, so it's time to pack it up and get ready for transport. Before I do that though, I wanted to show off some of the new things that I'm bringing with me to BrickFair. First, of course, is my Dark Tower Bridge module. When I started this project, I hadn't intended to build it in black and red, but then black plates and the red tiles showed up on the pick-a-brick walls, allowing me to get large quantities of those parts rather cheaply. The tower unit is a larger version of my basic tread lifter. The bridge span itself is a heavy-duty truss construction. The original baby version only had the upper truss, but when the span got longer it started to sag, so I ended up adding the additional truss underneath to reinforce it. Inside the span are original 12-volt train rails, yes, the blue ones, for the balls to run on. These rails work perfectly with a one-stud gap between them, so underneath is a UV light strip shining upward to illuminate the balls. This should be pretty cool for World of Lights. The ramps in the large oval also got redesigned since Chicago. With 8 loops instead of 3, balls were picking up more speed and kept jumping off the track, so I ended up adding beefier side rails to each track. I've done a bunch of testing with it in the last few days, and everything seems pretty solid. At the base of the large spiral, I have my base monument. This has also been redesigned to make it wider and provide more stability to the tower. I also changed the illumination in it, but I think this will be pretty cool as well. I set up a small loop for testing, which includes the other new things that I'm bringing. The BWC-22 workshop module isn't new, I just needed it to change the ball direction for the loop. The module after it is new though. This is my take on the Lasse de Luren ball pump. I made the in-basket a little wider, and I changed the weights from reels with rubber tires to the gray cement blocks. I also made a few changes in the ball tower, adding these square plates with cutouts to delineate where I can insert additional pieces to increase the tower height, and building in my standard track connection. After the ball pump, I have what I call a batching module. One of the issues that I had in Chicago was that balls were only arriving one at a time at a rate of about 30 balls per minute, about half of what the crisscross track is expecting to get. As a result, that track kept releasing single balls down the track so people didn't really get the proper effect. This unit will accumulate balls for about 30 seconds and then release them all as a single batch. I may not get the full 30 balls, but at least they'll all come into the module at once so I can load the track up. Technically, this is not considered a proper GBC module because the input is above 10 bricks. This is more of an auxiliary unit that has to be paired with another lifting module, so the combination can then be considered a single module. It's not pretty, but it's working, and that's all I was able to get done before the show. Finally, I have the same blue and gray tower that I had in Chicago, but I've completely redesigned the in-basket. One thing I learned from the timing experiments that I ran after I got back is that a slower module really has to have a bigger in-basket. Then, just for fun, I decided to honor the water theme for this year's BrickFair by using different shades of blue, and building an in-basket with curves everywhere instead of just a rectangle. After all, water doesn't usually have sharp corners. I'm calling this module Pool Time because the in-basket reminds me of a swimming pool. Last but not least, I have one more idea on the drawing board that I'm hoping I can finish before the show, assuming that the parts that I need all get here in time. I want to replace my standard spiral and S-curve outrun from the vertical S-curve lifter with something that's a little more compact. So I'm going to take my S-curve outrun and extend the loops. I plan to use the same shades of blue that I've been using elsewhere, and I'll call this the aqueduct. For now, it's time to disassemble the bridge. I've designed it to come apart fairly easily. It's held in at this end with an axle and at the other end with 2 pins. Pull these out and the span comes free. The large spiral has to be separated from the base in order to pack it. And I learned in Chicago that I need an easier way of doing that so I don't have to pull bricks off of studs. Now, all I have to do is pull these 4 red pins out, and then the spiral tower lifts cleanly off the base. All I need is an extra long box to put these components in, and I'm good to go. See you all at BrickFair!